Here we go. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of our fellow ISCT members tuning in around the world. After a several-month hiatus, I am happy to say that the often imitated, never duplicated member spotlight feature of the Telegraph is back in business. And I'm thrilled to have as our first guest of 2025, Dr. Roberto Gramignoli, PhD. So Dr. Gramignoli is an associate professor at the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, Sweden, and the head of the Department of Cell Therapies at the Gaslini Hospital in Genoa, Italy. And his lab group focuses on the translation of novel cellular therapies into the clinic and has been instrumental in leading the characterization and translation of amnion epithelial cells into use in clinical trials, which is super fascinating. Notably, Dr. Gramignoli is also a graduate of the outstanding ISCT program that awards a master's degree in European manufacturing of advanced therapy medicinal products, in which we're going to talk about a lot more about today. So welcome, Dr. Gramignoli, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. Absolutely.
All right, well, let's just dive right in. I'm very curious how you became involved in cell therapy research. Was it something that you were always involved in, or you kind of fell into it like a lot of us after PhD?
Yeah, absolutely. As you pointed out, I've always been kind of involved in this one for the past, almost 20 years. I've been working with different provide the cell therapy for different disorders. My major expertise, at the beginning, we developed a technology based on liver cells. So essentially, we were the first group in the United States approved by FDA to isolate human liver cell, human hepatocytes, and transplanting them in patients to treat different disorders, which are acute, to rescue people in acute disorder, but also to correct by mosaicism, correct some congenital disorders. So we keep the organ in place and we transplant the cell and we generate a kind of compensation in the disorder. All this therapy have been successful. Several patients been treated by our group, by many others around the world. But the only problem was the paucity of the cells. So we usually don't have enough liver, because most of the time they're transplanted, or don't have enough cells, because I would say quality cell. So that's why we investigated different type of cell in order to correct different liver disorders. That's why we started working with embryonic, with iPS, with the mesenchymal stromal cell as well. But we find out that one specific subpopulation of cells, which are the epithelial from the amnion membrane in the placenta, at the full-term placenta, are the best one for this indication and for more. So that's why my group essentially switch a little bit. So we keep working on liver, but we switch a little bit the topic, because by using this cell, now we have a new tool, a new technology where we can treat liver disorder. But what we find out, we go even beyond the liver. So now we're treating different organs thanks to this cell. And that's how I say I'm definitely involved in cell therapy from preclinical state to a clinical state. That's why, for example, here in Genoa, where I am now, we're starting the first biobank with this cell. So it will be very intriguing. We have also generated a company, which is a startup company, which is based on Boston, Massachusetts, on US soil, which is going to produce large-scale GMP grade cell to different clinical trials around the world. Right now, my clinical trial is based in Genoa or Karolinska at Stockholm, but in the near future, there are going to be multiple clinical trials, and we strongly hope we can provide the cell everywhere.
That's amazing.
So
oh my gosh. Okay. That's a lot to unpack. That is so much like deep.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it was
lifespan of a cell therapy, all the way from preclinical development through eventual manufacturing for a clinical trial. That's amazing.
All right. Thank you.
Very cool. So okay. So then that leads me to ask, with all of that experience, what made you interested in joining the EU master's program then?
Absolutely. No, I thought that was a very intriguing program because, I've always been a user when I'm talking about cell factory or GMP facility, because that's where I'm going there, try to enter, to rent the space and produce it myself. But during the time, I found quite inevitable and quite important to learn also all the other side, all the documentation, all the requirement. That's why I was interested I attended several courses, private courses in general, but when I saw the Andalusia program, I was very excited. And as a loyal member of ISCT. I've been a member in ISCT for more than 10 years. I always try to get advantage from everything ISCT has to offer. I strongly recommend to all the other ISCT members, because ISCT is very active in producing new courses, new activities for different levels, especially for early stage professional, which is very good. I previously attended the mentorship, which was a very nice course. The first cell therapy course sponsor was a great experience, and that's I applied for this one. Obviously, for this master program, based on my background experience, I was not selected for the master level. I actually entered in the program for the specialization part, which was a little bit different. I mean, the theoretical part was exactly the same, but just the final part was a little bit different. For example, first of all, let me say that course was really, really well done. I really appreciate that. I was so sorry that we did that immediately after COVID. So that means we did everything on remote, but every course was really well managed. A lot of information was really intriguing. There was different level of expertise for different cell. I even found something we could discuss about for other progenitor stem cell, because every organ has different kind of progenitor. Of course, not all the faculty are expert in all of them, and that's why for liver I was quite aggressive. So, okay, we can discuss about it. But for the other one, was really intriguing. The only pity was I never met my fellow or my teacher, my faculties in person, because it was only online communication, but it was really well done. I mean, I met most of the people as a most of the student, let me say, most of the fellows were coming from the companies area, from the for-profit world, pharma company, biotech. I think there were only me and probably another one or two academic. All the other ones were coming from the private sector, which makes also quite sense, because was quite probably a cost-effective course and so on. So I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the time, and I really found intriguing most of the information I learned. It's just the final part, the hands-on, the practical part. I was not called to join them, which was sad, but potentially was even better, because then I didn't have to take too much time from my vacation in order to do that.
I get that. Yeah. Okay, so that's really interesting. So you mentioned a couple things there. So one being like you could join the program no matter what your sort of background expertise was and
Yes,
where
there
you
were
were coming
different
from,
levels.
either academic or biotech.
Of course, there were a little bit of knowledge on the sector was actually quite beneficial. Many
Mhm.
of the other students or fellow were actually coming from a pharma company, as I mentioned, were already kind of QP or QA in the facility, so they already have a specific knowledge which they wanted to tune it up or improve it. But potentially, I can say even from the very early section, so students or very early stage professional, young fellow can benefit from a program like this, definitely.
It's good to know. So you feel like it was sort of advantageous to have this previous experience, but it wouldn't be something that like should scare a future applicant off if they don't have such a deep well of knowledge.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. I mean, having some knowledge help you a lot, and otherwise you can study a little bit more, because you have to do extra work otherwise to compensate what. Because some of the concepts are quite basic, but some of them are quite advanced. So you need to fill up the gap if you're not used to talk some of the language, or you don't know some of the basic knowledge.
That makes sense. Okay. So then can you describe a little bit about the structure of the program? Like, was it, you said it was all online, but was it, self-guided, or how often did you meet with instructors?
Yeah, it was essentially pretty much self-guided, as you mentioned, because it was 12 modules, once pretty much every month and a half, every 2 months, which you have 3 weeks when you were supposed to read all the material they sent you and study by your own, familiarize with the topic, etc. Then you have a couple of weeks to fill in the multi-choice questions. So it was a kind of exam, but very classical, like a canonical you have in university. And then there was a little bit more practical section when you have the submit, they provide you kind of example of cases when you have to fill up and try to, like it was a reproducing something that you might experience in your daily activity in GMP or in preclinical when you're trying. And then you have some time to fill up a report describing, and then you submit it. Within a few weeks, I would say days, but actually weeks, they give you feedback. The only critics I have for the course, which was essentially they tell you if you did a good job or not good, but they don't tell you where you did it wrong. For example, even the multiple choice, there was no way to find out, okay, which one was the one I did it wrong or which one I did it right. Because they only tell you, okay, you reached 90% of right answer or only 75. Of course, less than 75, you fail. You have only two chances to do it. But yes, you have twice, so if you don't pass it, you don't pass it. So essentially, you have 2 times to do it, but you never find out which one are the right, which one are the wrong at the end. You get 80% score, means 2 questions every 10 is wrong. But unfortunately, I was asking, okay, can I have an idea which one was supposed? And the only way sometimes to find out if I did it right or wrong was to talk with my colleague, with the other fellow, to figure it out. Okay, what was your decision, what was mine? Because unfortunately, there was not such a strong feedback from the faculty in this particular case. From the practical was a little bit better because there was a possibility to discuss, not only between the fellow, but also with the faculty, which was making better because then you have some feedback and you can tune it up. And most of the faculty were very kind and really effective in providing some suggestion or explanation where something was, because sometimes there are even different opinions. In this kind of field, even the inspector or the people trained to supervise work, they're not always on the same page. Most of the rules are set up, but sometimes different cell product might have a slightly different qualification criteria. So that's why sometimes it's quite critical to have a confrontation and to discuss about different options.
That's really interesting. That sounds very reminiscent of like the formal fellowship that I did, but it had, a very strong emphasis on sort of post-meeting meetings, right? Like you solve a problem and then you kind of regroup and huddle afterwards and talk about, why that was the way to do it. And there were probably other ways to do it. This is why we went with this way, but you could have also done this or, this, that, or the other. So that is really valuable. I didn't realize that that was part of the course. It sort of makes it sound like it's just online modules and you kind of, take your quizzes and whatever. But then that's really, I love that there's a practical component, right? Where you sort of do like case studies around manufacturing and how you would address different issues and you get that feedback in real time from instructors.
That was definitely one of the best parts I found in this one, was really specific. I mean, in my career, I get the specialty in another topic before when I was immediately after graduating, etc. No? And sometimes in university, we tend to be quite broad range, really wide range, and studying a little. This was very focused, was really oriented to a specific kind of professional. And that was important from my point of view because of course, there was some basic knowledge, but apart from that, everything they're usually facing my daily activity was some way addressed in such a 2.5 year of course, and was really intriguing. As I said, there was also probably the hands-on, the practical part, which most of my fellow was taking the master has been called to do it, which could have been probably even great based on what it was online. I guess on person was even better. Unfortunately, for my part, was not supposed to do it, but I really enjoyed that. So I think I'm proud of ISCT to sponsor such a high quality program. And it's also true that was not the first time this program was offered. So probably I was benefiting by the fact that previously there were some other courses which was intended to improve it, to tune it up, to make it better year by year. So every time they're asking for our feedback, and that's what we provided. So hopefully in the next future, the next fellow we're going to be called to attend the course will benefit, for example, for some feedback, also for the multiple choice, which was one of the criticisms. So the faculty were very open to her criticism and different suggestions. So I think every year will be better, honestly, this course. I like it.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's been my experience as well. If you provide feedback for these programs, they take it extremely seriously and try to integrate, into the next course, which is awesome.
Of course.
Yeah, if anyone doesn't, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, of course, was a course organized in Spain. A large part of the faculty was Spanish, but no matter what, was also kind of international fellow, international teachers, and that was a plus. But even most of the teachers were from Spain soil. I had to admit, it was a very high quality science, high quality profession. So I really enjoyed that.
That's great. Yeah, for those listeners who don't know, I can plug the hands-on component of the program if you do the master's part of it. It's hosted by the University of Granada and the Andalusian Network for the Design and Translation of Advanced Therapies in Spain. And you spend 3 weeks there, from what I learned, doing practical
And the
GMP
other
lab
people, I
training.
didn't. The
Right, right,
master, fortunately, did not. I didn't have the opportunity to visit Granada and to visit their lab, but I heard it was fantastic. Yes,
wow. If you ever get a chance to go, we should just go.
I
We
would.
should just go just for fun.
Yeah,
We should just
absolutely.
go
Maybe next time
to
I see
Granada.
we organize a European conference in Granada. Why not?
Sign me up, guys. I will be there. I have, yes, like you, I have only heard amazing things and have amazing colleagues in Spain who are doing fantastic work. So I think the opportunity that fellows have to go there, right, and spend a couple weeks, if you're fortunate enough to do it, would be amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so you've provided a ringing endorsement of this course. And I'm really happy to hear it. And I think that I wanted to make sure that listeners knew that the next cohort is open. Like applications for the next cohort of this master's and specialized degrees are open. And if you have any more information, you can find that on the ISCT website. I also wanted to see if people are interested in talking to you more about your experiences in the course. Like, can they contact you? Is there a way to get in touch with you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can find my information in the ICT website. I mean, I'm one of the member, or you can write email. Feel free to. I'm happy to provide information on this, or we can meet face to face to the ICT meeting. Usually, I'm used to attend both the annual meeting or the European most of the time, the European version. But I want to end up, if you allow me, to
Yeah.
encourage people to consider to apply for different activity the ICT is providing. Because what we need in our society is to continue to the interaction, networking, mingling absolutely is important, but also feedback. So join the ESP community, apply for different courses and different activity, because my own experience that we don't have to be passive member of the society. Be an active member is even better. You can benefit 3 times, 10 times more if you're active, proactive, and proposing and applying for courses like this. Because honestly, so far, I think I spent much less in membership than the benefit I got. So I'm really proud of being an SCT member so far.
I could not have said that better myself. I completely agree with you. I have
They don't
only
pay for me
seen
doing that. So
you,
ICT,
yeah,
I pay membership. They don't give me a membership for free. So I don't do it this. They don't pay me to say this one. I just say I really believe in that.
that's fantastic. Are we going to see you in New Orleans for the annual
Yes,
meeting?
absolutely. I will be in New Orleans. We have 2 different talks to provide about the technology I mentioned, both the liver side and the amnion epithelia for the placenta side. We have 2 different oral, so podium presentations. So please feel free to come to our presentation, listen about our technology, and eventually approach me and my people. And if you have any question beyond the technology we use, and of course, even the activity of ICT, I'm more than happy to discuss and to share whatever I learned so far.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we will for sure connect in New Orleans because that will be great to meet in person and
Fantastic. I'm
chat
looking
more.
forward.
Thank you so much for taking the time to
My
talk with me
pleasure. Thank you for
today
your
and
time.
share your experiences. Yeah, everyone, again, take advantage of all the ISCT programs. Um, Roberto did such a great job of describing that and just a testament to how great the society is and how much it has to offer. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Absolutely.